Ma'am, these files are done. He halted on his track, his words hung in the middle as he looked at you. You had your head on the desk, eyes closed, and a tired expression marred your face. He walked closer and placed the files on the desk. He carefully observed your face, trying to decipher whether you were sleeping or not. Hesitantly, he reached out to tuck a few hair tresses behind your ear. The feathery touch of his fingers broke your slumber. His eyes widened when you stirred awake from your sleep. Retreating his hand, he took a step back. He watched as you sighed tiredly and sat upright. You mindlessly looked around and your gaze stopped at Jimin, who stood like deer caught in the headlights. What happened? He shook his head and gave you a polite smile. It's quite late. Shall we head home? You seem tired. You nodded and collected your stuff, packing your bag while he kept the files in the drawer. As you rose from the chair, you felt dizzy and instantly held the desk for support. Jimmy noticed this and rushed to you. Ryan, are you okay? Uh, yes, you nodded, though you felt weakness seeping through your entire body. Even standing felt like a difficult task. Jimin scanned your expression for a moment and reached out to touch your forehead. A sigh escaped from his lips when your burning skin met his palm. He wanted to say many things, but he swallowed his words, contemplating if he had the right to say something to you or not. You have a high fever. Let's head home. You need rest. You gave a meek nod and leaned on his shoulder for support. He held you tighter and escorted you towards the door. However, you stumbled on your steps. The next moment, you were in his arms as he carried you in bridal style. You looked at him while he was looking ahead. You wrapped your arms around his neck and stared at him with softness in your eyes. You never thought your cold heart would melt for someone, let alone your secretary or contract husband of 9 months. You and Jimin were bound in a contract marriage, which only you both knew about. For the outside world, you were like a dream couple. According to your late mother's will, you needed to get married to acquire her business or it would go to your father. You never wanted your mother's hard work to go into your cheater father's hands, so you decided to get into a contract marriage. But the problem was to find a perfect guy, and that's how you asked Jimin to marry you. Of course, he was hesitant. How could he suddenly get married to his boss? But he also knew about the passion and hard work you put into the business. So he agreed for a fake marriage of 9 months. You never believed in love and marriage and all those commitments. But after living with him for 8 months, you had created a soft corner for him, or that's what you thought. Probably it was something more than a soft corner, a strong emotion that you had turned a blind eye to. Closing your eyes, you let your head rest on his chest. You felt the rhythmic rise and fall of his chest as he breathed. His heartbeat felt like a serene symphony, instantly lulling you to sleep. Unknowingly, you had found a home in Jimin, a home that you always craved for. Feeling your stiff body slowly loosening, he looked down at you. A smile made its way to his lips when he found you sleeping. He felt the same fluttering feeling in his stomach, something he had been feeling since the last few months. The fire was equally ignited from both sides, but both were in denial. You thought you were not made to love or to be loved, and he thought he didn't deserve to love you or to get loved by you. He laid your sleeping frame on the bed. Removing your heels, he gently massaged your feet. He made his way to your closet to take out some comfortable clothes for you. Rummaging through the clothes, he found his black hoodie there, which he thought he lost somewhere. He wondered how his hoodie came in the closet, but he shrugged off his thoughts, thinking it as a mixing up of clothes. Only if you knew that you stole it from his closet the other day. Not only that, you wear it to bed every single day. He took out a fresh pair of clothes for you and came back to bed where you were sleeping. Ryan, wake up. He softly called out but got no response. He slowly patted your cheek, calling out your name. Luckily, this time you woke up. He helped you in sitting straight. Change your clothes. I'll prepare soup for you and bring you medicine. You half-heartedly nodded. You didn't know why, but you didn't want him to go away from you. It felt childish to you, but it was what you were feeling at that moment. As he exited the room, you quickly changed your clothes and patiently waited for him. Though your heart poked you to go out and gawk at him as he worked in the kitchen like a skilled chef, your body didn't support you to do so. Thus you sat silently staring at the door like a child who was putting time out, waiting for his punishment to get over. If you need anything, just call me. Though you'll sleep soundly due to the medicine, still I'm just a call away. You stared at him like a lost child as he tucked you in. Good night. He smiled and turned around to leave, but his steps halted when he felt a tug at his wrist. Turning back, he noticed you holding his hoodie sleeve. Oh, you hesitated and swallowed in nervousness. Can you please stay here with me? Jimin blinked his eyes, processing your words. Sensing his baffled demeanor, you tried to find an excuse in your defense. I'm sick, right? What if I get serious during night? Stay here, please. Jimin thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, I'll stay here. You sleep here, I'll take the couch. No! Jimin flinched at your sudden rise in tone. You cleared your throat in mortification and shifted a little to one side of the bed. You can sleep here. The bed is big enough for two people. You will get a backache by sleeping on that uncomfortable couch. You mentally praised yourself for coming up with excuse over excuse. Better to act cool than embarrassing oneself. Jimin sighed and climbed into the bed beside you. He was too exhausted to argue with you. Besides, he didn't want to lose this very opportunity to be close to you. You sighed satisfactorily when his musky scent hit your nostrils. It was both intriguing and comforting, giving you a homely feeling. This was the reason you sneakily stole his perfume and sprayed it on your pillow sometimes. He didn't know about it, nor did you want him to know. Good morning, boss. He looked up from the file you were reading and gave her a small professional smile. Sarah was a devoted employee in your company and was on a maternity leave since a few months. Morning, Mrs. Wang. How are you and your little one? She chuckled and twirled around. Better, with the renewed energy of a mother, with some new changes of motherhood and the same old working spirit. Mama Huang is all set to start working again. He chuckled slightly and nodded. She was a nice person for sure. She bowed slightly and was about to leave, but you stopped her. Mrs. Wang, I want to ask something. She nodded and smiled, a silent gesture for you to continue. How can a person find out if the other person love her or not? You hesitantly voiced out. She frowned at the unexpected question. You were highly professional, and your quest about love had caught her off guard. Shrugging off the questions that arose in her head, she replied almost instantly. Ask them directly if they feel the same or not. She simply shrugged her shoulders. You nibbled your lower lip, slowly absorbing her words. Though you had always been a straightforward person, this wasn't something you were willing to do. There isn't another way. Something which does not involve confrontation. Sarah thought for a while. Her eyes widened in delight when she got another idea. Actually, there is one. Jealousy. She exclaimed with big eyes whilst you frowned in confusion. You were skilled in business, but worse than an apprentice when it came to emotions and expression of feelings. When someone likes you, jealousy plays the best role in finding out about their feelings. They wouldn't want to see you with someone else. Her words struck something in your head. A smile made its way to your lips. as he nodded to yourself. Thanks, Mrs. Wang. You can get back to work now. Sarah blinked her eyes in surprise, noticing your unusual behavior. However, she chose not to point it out and left your cabin. You smiled as your brain weaved a plan to know about your fake husband's feeling for you. Fixing your dress, you looked at your reflection in the mirror. The black dress hugged your body at the right spots. The minimal makeup enhanced your beauty even more. Out and out, you looked beautiful for your fake date. Spraying some perfume, you stole a last glance at yourself and walked out of the room. You knew Jimin would be in the living area, and what could be the perfect opportunity than this to rile him up? Jimin was reading a file when you appeared there. His attention shifted from the file to you. His breath hissed as his eyes took in your appearance. You gulped, unable to take his eyes off you. You internally smoked, feeling his intense gaze staring right through your soul. At least you got his attention. Now you needed to see how he would react to the news of you going on a date with someone else. Are you going somewhere? He asked as he watched you slipping on your heels. You nodded, fixing your hair, behaving like his gaze wasn't sending goosebumps all over your body. Yes, on a date. He replied with a smile and keenly observed his expression. His face was blank. Did it not affect him anyway? Did he not feel the way you feel about him? He said nothing, much to your disappointment, and diverted his attention back to the file he was reading. You gritted your teeth as anger filled inside you and stormed out of the house. If he didn't care, you wouldn't either. Came to the beach and sat on the cold sand. Tears of frustration poured in your eyes when you realized that he didn't care. All of his smiles, his caring gestures, and everything felt like a facade. You felt betrayed. You never got the experience of how it feels to live with a family. You didn't know how it feels to be loved by someone. However, with Jimin, you felt loved and cared for. In simple words, you had given a place to him in your heart. Now that you realize that it would be gone in a month, his love, his care, him, you couldn't bear it. You couldn't bear losing him. You had finally got the taste of happiness, and now you didn't want to get over it. You wanted to feel it over and over again. That too with him. Thinking about all of this made you cry. You had not cried for years. The last time you cried was when your mother left the world. But the pain you felt now was more than you felt then, the pain of left alone. You sat in your cabin, a frown marred your face and a pout on your lips. Last night, when you returned after spending 3 hours at the beach, Jimin was already asleep, thereby confirming your doubts that he really didn't care. Above all, he was behaving weirdly. He didn't spare a glance at you, nor did he smile at you like he did every morning. His indifference didn't settle well with you. It stuck something in your heart, creating a void that only he could fulfill. Heaving out a loud sigh, you glanced at the clock and your frown deepened. He should be in your office with your coffee, but he wasn't there. It felt strange. He was punctual when it came to work. Then what happened to him suddenly? You got up and walked out of your cabin to look for him. After searching the entire office, you came into the office cafeteria to look for him. A smile made its way to your lips when you spotted him near the coffee counter. However, your smile turned into a scowl when you noticed a girl standing beside him. What ached you more was that he was smiling at her. Your insides burned with jealousy. Your eyes squinted in thin slits when the girl laughed after Jimin said something. Your palms tightened at your sides and you marched towards them with heavy steps. Jimin was the first one to notice you. His eyes met yours and his smile slowly disappeared. You felt a pang of hurt by his reaction. Was he not happy by your presence? What is happening here? Concealing your heart beneath your stoic hard face, you averted your gaze from Jimin to that girl. It took you no time in recognizing her. She was new in the office. Boss, actually, I would like to have my coffee in my cabin, Mr. Park, and you. You pointed your finger at the girl, who shivered under your cold gaze. I pay my employees for working, not for gossiping around. Get back to work. She nodded and bowed at you before leaving from there. You glanced at Jimin and found him looking at you with a mix of surprise and disbelief. Coffee in my cabin. You ordered. Your jaw ticked when you recalled the scene of him smiling at that girl. And what frustrated you more that he wasn't looking at you the way he used to, with softness in his eyes. Rather, his expressions were blank. It was difficult to comprehend what he was thinking. Blowing out a sigh, you turned on your heels and stormed out of there. Ma'am, here's your coffee. He kept your coffee on your desk. You looked at him with a frown. You didn't like the tone he used. It felt so dry and distant. He turned around to leave, but stopped after hearing you. What was that girl saying? You didn't try to hide the bitterness in your tone. Nothing that concerns you, he replied without turning around. You felt a pang in your heart by his rudeness. He was never like this, and you weren't liking the new change in him. You wondered what made him like this. I am your wife. Everything about you concerns me. Your words made him turn around. He looked at you and then at the wedding band in your hand. Without exchanging another word, he silently left the cabin. You scoffed and reclined back on your chair, throwing your hands in disbelief. Unbelievable. You muttered and shook your head in helplessness. Flipping through the file, you tried to distract your mind from Jimin. His weird behavior was making you restless. You so wanted to pin him to the wall and ask what was wrong, but he wasn't responding to you. He was giving monosyllabic response. That too, when you asked him something. You tried. You tried so hard to not think about him but failed to do so. Heaving out a loud sigh, you threw the file aside with a flick of your wrist and ran a reckless hand through your hair, got off the bed and walked out with an intention to talk to Chaman. A smile instantly curved on your lips when you spotted him in the living room. However, your smile dropped when you noticed his attire. He was told up to go out, but where? Where are you going? You asked, gaining his attention. He glanced at you and moved to wear his shoes. Somewhere, rolling your eyes at his curt response, you crossed your arms across your chest. Somewhere where? Somewhere you shouldn't be concerned about. A frown of irritation marred your face. What is your problem, Jimin? Can't you just give me a simple response? You said, irritation evident in your tone. Why can't he just be like before? Why did he have to be so cold and aloof? On a date, he didn't know what made him say this. In reality, he was going to meet his friends. Maybe it was his broken heart boiling or his restless mind making noise. Your heart dropped to your stomach hearing him. The pain you felt was unbearable. You could hear the sound of your heart breaking into countless pieces. How could he do this to you? How could he just go on a date? What? What did you say? Date? No, you can't. Your words came out as an undeniable demand. He raised his eyebrows, listening to you. Did you forget I am your wife? How could you go on a date with someone else? He bit back a scoff at your words, rolled his eyes due to your hypocritical behavior. He shook his head and made his way towards the door. You grated your teeth and rushed towards him. Holding his arm, you pulled him back to stand in front of you. Where are you going? I am not done talking. He glared at you and removed your hand from his arm. But I am done talking to you, and I don't want to hear anything. I'm getting late, so excuse me. As he tried to take one step ahead, you again pulled him back and spread your arms in front of him. You can't leave until I want, and I don't care if you want or not, but you have to listen to me. He let out a sigh and looked away. You were getting on his nerves now. He was getting annoyed and trying so hard to not say something hurtful to you. How could you, Jimin? We are still married. You can go on a date. But you went on a date, right? You did the same. When you can, why can't I? I'm not your slave who will function according to your norms and conditions. His tone made you cower back, but you composed yourself and stared at his eyes. Yes, you pulled a stunt yesterday which was wrong. However, it wasn't what he thought it was. He needed to know the truth. Gemini, oh please, Ryan, I don't want to hear anything. Just get aside and let me leave. He tried to walk past you, but you stood in its path. You can go, not before listening to. No, I don't want to listen to anything. The state is necessary. I already like that girl. We would make the best couple. After we'll get divorced, I'll marry her. Your anger reached its peak hearing him. You won't. You can't marry anyone else. I am your wife. Fake wife for one more month and that's it. I'll marry someone. You couldn't hold back no more. Holding his collar, you yanked him closer and smashed your lips on his. His eyes went wide at your sudden move, and his lips parted in a gasp, giving you a good opportunity to suck on his upper lip. His hands hung in the air, his body stiffened, and his eyes opened wide like a circle. His stomach flipped when he felt you sucking on his lips hungrily. Your grip on his collar tightened as you pulled him closer to have your way with his soft petal-like lips. The kiss got more and more intense as you started nibbling and biting his lips like a hungry wolf. You pulled him dangerously closer until your body was pressed against his, connecting like two lost pieces of puzzle. The kiss was forceful, raw, and full of all the pent-up emotions you both been denying. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as you both realized the intensity of your feelings. The kiss changed everything. It was as if a dam had broken, releasing all the suppressed emotions between you both. You both stood there, breathless and stunned, staring at each other. The argument was forgotten, and you began to see each other in a new light. Your palm traced a path from his shoulder to his face and cupped his cheek. I never went on a date. It was a lie to know what you feel about me, but you didn't react. I was heartbroken. You looked at his eyes, and your heart felt at ease when you saw the same old softness in his brown orbs. It's only been a day, and you realized how much you missed him. It indicated the intensity of your feelings for him. I don't know how it feels to get loved by someone. I don't know how it feels to be the face someone craves to see in the morning. I don't know how it feels to be the epicenter of someone's thoughts, to be the main character of their imagination. Nor do I know how a home feels like. All I know is I have started seeing you as my home. I have started loving you, and I can die to get to feel the same by you. Please start loving me too. I don't want anything but you, Jimin. I love you so, so, so much with no boundaries. Your eyes pooled with tears as you vocalized your feelings in front of him. The corner of his lips twisted into a small smile. He cradled your face between his palms and inched closer. Finally, my charm showed its magic. I love you too. Saying so, he pressed his lips against yours, pulling you in yet another tantalizing kiss. His one hand snaked around your waist, holding you closer as he kissed you slowly and sensually. Pulling back, he left a soft peck on your nose. You know how hard it was for me to see you in front of me and not hold you tight in my arms? But now, I'm not letting you go ever again. You are bound to me for forever. Let's forget about the contract. I want us to be together because we choose to be, not because we have to be. Your words brought a smile on Jimin's face. He nodded without any hesitation. You smiled and hugged him, resting your head on his chest. A warm feeling surged in your heart. Finally, you had found your home in a person, and you were all set to progress on a journey of being loved by someone you had always wanted to feel love from.